We've got a lot to get through in this week's news video, so let's get straight into it and touch on, the big matter for the week, and that is, these shenanigans coming off Platinum Card Breaks once again, and this time, surprise, surprise, it's related to G, and this was flagged by the two good boys out at, Sports Card Radio, and if you weren't aware, basically I'll put some links down below, but essentially what happened was G, the infamous G from Platinum Card Breaks, has proven himself to be a grub and total shit bloke once again, right? Because he held a knife, a box cutter, to his stepson's throat in the middle of a live break, right? So his stepson was basically doing a live break. If you haven't seen the video, I'll put some clips up now and put links down in the description below. And then something happened. I don't recall what started this altercation, but essentially G walks up to him, is unhappy with the response that his stepson gave, and basically holds a box cutter to his throat. Now, Sports Card Radio did a video on this initially that I'll put the description down. I'll put a link down in the description below. But someone named Hello There on YouTube put together a close-up video, which I'll play a clip of now. And as you can see, the footage is quite damning, and it's really disgusting to see, and I'm not surprised that it's come from this individual, right? Because like I said, we've spoken about this many times on the channel in the past, about Platinum Card Breaks in particular, and G is just a shit bloke. He's an absolute grub of a person to do something like this, and then try and play it off like he was just fooling around with his stepson. They've made a video since that, AIH Sports has put together saying, their live stream, their response to this was that it was just a joke. You can very clearly see in this footage, especially in the one that Hello There put together where it's very close up, zoomed in, I should say, they're not joking around. There's legitimate fear in his stepson's voice, and he's definitely upset with what's happening to him, as you would be, right? Because if somebody holds a box cutter to your throat, you're not going to be happy, right? Irrespective of whether it's a joke or not. And you can clearly tell in the tone of G's voice, and then what happens off camera where he essentially holds him against the wall, what appears to be, you can tell they're not joking around, right? You can hear in the guy's voice. It's completely unacceptable. It's disgusting, not good behavior at all. He's basically, like, let's hypothetically say he was joking, right? What if he slipped? Box cutters are very sharp. Accidentally cuts his jugular, what's going to happen then? Right? It's just completely ridiculous, and we don't need people like this in the hobby. We don't need people like this on the streets, to be honest, because it's disgusting behavior. And what Sports Card Radio did off the back of their original videos, they've reached out to the likes of Topps and Fanatics, and also Panini, as well as, Leaf, and they've all come out and said, they're not direct buyers from us. They get their cards elsewhere. We don't condone this behavior. We're going to look into it moving forward. Leaf was the only one that wasn't sure if they were selling directly to Platinum Card Breaks, but Brian Grace said he was looking into it. So please check out, Sports Card Radio's video, then also the close-up clip of Hello There. But it's just, disgusting. And I had a video planned to do a follow-up on, when I spoke about the dark side of Sports Card Breaks in the past, where I spoke about, the gambling nature of it and how we often have people that are breaking cards that don't have the appropriate, business acumen, and they're not really good people, and they don't maybe have, the right intentions in mind, that end up being box breakers, and how we need some sort of regulation, or we need some sort of control in place to make sure we can weed people like G out, as an example. So that video is coming up on Tuesday. I was going to talk about it anyway, just to follow up on what I've spoken about previously, but this is now another, I don't know what the word is, another notch in the belt, I guess you'd say, for why that needs to happen sooner rather than later. And it's one of the few areas that Fanatics can truly help out with. So keep an eye out for that on Tuesday or Monday, depending where you are in the world. It's going to be a good one. So yeah, please keep an eye out for that. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is some really crappy social media and optics coming from HGA, to be honest, because they've put this video together that I'll play for you now on the screen while I'm talking. And as you can see, they've put this thing together saying, here's a special look at us slabbing a cool card, right? Look what's happening in this video. The guy's slabbing the card. He's got no gloves on. He's probably going to leave fingerprints inside the case. He's going to leave fingerprints on the card. You could have dust getting in on the card. And the fact that they've left this on social media now for 12 hours, it's been since it was posted, and they haven't done anything with it, is not a good look, because this, again, is not a good look for them as a business. As you guys know, I'm a pretty big fan of HGA. Like, I like a lot of the stuff that they're doing. I like the disruption they bring to the hobby, because we need more competition, right? More competition means we as collectors get more value. And I've spoken about this many times on the channel. And the big grub that I've primarily had with HGA in the time since they've started was the fact that their former CEO, Tyler, was pretty erratic in how he was managing the company. And most of those issues we saw from them as a business primarily came down to him. You had like price changes overnight, you had removal of queues, you had all these issues essentially happening where he was trying to like maximize revenue, which is fine as a business, but his approach to doing that was very erratic. It would happen overnight and then he'd backtrack immediately, right? So that stuff happened consistently. When he left and the new owners came in, I was a little bit positive, and I thought it was a good thing. I've done a few videos on that as well, where I say this is a good thing for them, right? Because they've now got an opportunity to lay an appropriate platform for their business and start getting back to, what they should be doing. And that is providing an alternative for us as collectors. They've done a pretty good job so far, in my opinion. They've had a few hiccups here and there, but something like this does not help their case, right? This is so amateur. They need to be doing better. This is unacceptable, right? Can you imagine if you paid the money, and their fee's not that expensive, but can you imagine if you paid the money, got that card, and you got the huge fingerprint inside your case, and you're like, hang on a minute, why do I have that there? You see this video, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. So there's a few issues there. I think they could be doing better. This stuff doesn't help you guys, so please, sort it out, because, we need people like you in the hobby. We need disruptors like you in the hobby. The more competition, the more value we get as collectors, which means, these guys eventually maybe put pressure on PSA to put their price down a bit sooner. That might be foolish to think, but that's kind of what I want in the hobby, right? More competition. I want more competition because that's how we get more money. If you don't have more competition, you get instances like this with Panini, right? Where they're just printing things to death because they have no competition, right? We need competition. It's a good thing. The next thing I want to quickly touch on is something to sort of watch this space, right? And that's these two uncut sheets of 1997 football PMGs. We've got a red sheet and a green sheet. This one, like I said, just watch this space, right? Because we've seen those issues with the basketball cards recently that I'll put on the screen now, where you had these uncut sheets get purchased, people cut them up, put fake serial numbers on them and set them in to be graded, and they were graded, and now, they've flooded the market. This is a really good opportunity for a scammer to try and do the same thing. And like I've said many times in the past, these scammers are trying to find elaborate ways to take advantage of people, so on and so forth. This is now the area where they can do that because these grading companies are so flooded with cards that they're making very basic mistakes, maybe that they wouldn't have made in the past, or as frequently as they made them in the past, I should say. So keep an eye out for this. I'd be very curious to see where it ends up, because basically the person that buys this is going to get it for a certain price, and they can grow that exponentially in they can grow that in multiples purely by cutting it up and sending it for grading. So keep an eye out for that, because, that stuff is not necessarily a bad thing, because typically graders will flag something as having come from an uncut sheet. But like I said, they've made mistakes recently, so hopefully this does not get in the hands of somebody that wants to try and take advantage of other people and try and scam them out of their money, because I really don't like that behavior. It's unacceptable. You get the point. Now, the next thing I want to quickly touch on is another good shout out for the week, the good guys shout out. Now, you would have heard me talk about this in the last couple of weeks. This time it is Kyle from Wax Museum Podcast. So I did a video the other day talking about the good work that he does from a patch swap perspective when he tracks his RPA cards. He's got his website. Check those out, because he's phenomenal for the hobby. He needs more followers than what he currently has. He does have a good following, but the amount of good work that he does goes completely unnoticed, in my opinion. He does such good work with regards to RPA tracking and patch swap identification that he needs a lot more credit for it. So please check his channel out. He also does some really cool content around, buying lots on eBay and finding like hidden gems in those lots, and buying lots where he's got one card that he knows is worth something, and then he buys the whole lot and works out, that he can keep that one card, but then sell everything else to essentially make a profit or get the card for free, which is like something I love to do with myself as well, as you've seen on the channel in the past. So please check him out. His content is really awesome. He needs the followers. He's a really good guy as well. But this work that he does from an RPA tracking perspective is immense. It's a huge service to the hobby. We need more people like him, and we need more people like him, getting traction and attention within the hobby, because he's doing such a good job, and we need more of it. So that's the good shout out for the week. I hope you liked it. As always, I hope you did enjoy the video. Let me know if I missed anything this week, or if I misspoke at all. I think the points we spoke about today are pretty serious, to be honest. That stuff from HCA is quite amateur. We need better from those guys. And then also this issue from, Platinum Card Breaks. Like, I hope he gets charged, right? Because he's assaulted someone on YouTube. Like, why can't YouTube take their channel down? It's disgusting. He's a grub of a bloke, and we don't need stuff like that in life, let alone in a card collecting hobby like this. And not to mention some of the other crap that he's done in the past. That Sports Card Radio flagged in one of their videos where he's very clearly homophobic and so on and so forth. So please check out that video, because, it highlights how terrible of a person this guy actually is. And I'm really appreciative of the fact that these guys are standing up and calling this kind of crap out, because we need more of it. To be honest, and too many people are too afraid to say anything and speak up, because they're trying to protect their own agendas and their own channels and revenue streams. It's upsetting, but it's good we're finally got people talking up. I do it to a little bit of an extent, but these guys have a much bigger platform than me, so I absolutely love it. I'm sure you do too. So as always, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.